All right, let's talk about the one section in every research paper that, let's be honest, most of us probably skip, the methodology. I know, it can feel super dense and intimidating, but I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to see it for what it really is. Not some boring chore, but the secret blueprint that gives a study its real power.
So think about this for a second. What really separates a good study from a truly great one? Is it some shocking discovery, a wild conclusion? Well, not really. The actual difference boils down to a single word: trust. And that trust, it's either built or completely broken in one specific, critical section of the paper.
We all know the standard layout, right? You've got your abstract, the intro, the lit review, the findings. But look, right there, smack in the middle, is the unsung hero, the methodology. This isn't just a list of steps, it's the engine room of the whole project. It's where all the real work is laid bare for us to see.
So it's best to think of the methodology as the paper's backbone. Seriously, it's the part where the authors have to stop just telling you what they found, and they have to show you exactly how they found it. It's their detailed recipe, step by step. And that recipe is the only thing that's going to make us, the readers, actually believe their results.
Because, yeah, that's what it all comes down to. A really strong, transparent methodology is proof that the work is accurate, that the process was solid, and that the conclusions are actually dependable. Without it, the findings are just claims. But with it, they become real evidence.
So, how do researchers go about building this engine of trust? Well, it usually starts by choosing one of two fundamental paths. Let's break down the two big ones: quantitative and qualitative research. And this is where the road forks. On one hand, you have quantitative research. This is all about the numbers, using math and stats to test a really specific hypothesis. On the other hand, you've got qualitative research, which is all about understanding human experiences through things like interviews or observations. No numbers needed. They're two totally different toolkits for answering totally different kinds of questions.
But here's the thing. It doesn't matter which path a researcher takes. A really powerful methodology is always built from the same core ingredients. So let's take a look at the recipe that makes sure everything is transparent and, super importantly, reproducible.
This is pretty much the essential blueprint. First, you got to state your question and what kind of data you need. Second, you have to detail exactly how you collected that data. Third, you explain how you analyzed it. And finally, and this one is so crucial, you justify why you chose this specific approach over all others. These 4 steps are the absolute key to a methodology that anyone can believe in.
Okay, enough with the theory. Let's see what this actually looks like out in the wild. We're going to peek at a quantitative study about how leaves decompose in a tropical forest. I know it sounds super specific, but the principles here apply to everything.
Just look at the level of detail they're giving us here. The authors don't just say they were in a forest. Nope, they're telling us the exact type of forest, the elevation, the average temperature, even the annual rainfall. They are meticulously setting the scene for us.
And that's the whole point, right? This isn't just random trivia. It's absolutely essential for context. It's like they're telling other scientists, hey, we've thought about all the environmental stuff that could possibly affect our results. It's a clear signal that they've done their homework and their work is rigorous.
And this precision just keeps going when you look at the materials. They specify the exact size of these little litter bags, what they're made of, and the precise weight of the leaves inside, down to 1/10 of a gram.
And that right there, that is the absolute heart of reproducibility. I mean, they're giving you so much detail that another scientist could literally go to Puerto Rico, make the exact same litter bags, and run this experiment all over again. That's the ultimate peer review, isn't it? It's letting anyone check your work. That is how trust is built in science.
All right, now let's switch gears completely. What does all this look like when you're not weighing leaves, but you're studying how people use Twitter? Let's unpack a qualitative study and see.
I love this. It's fantastic. Right up front, the researchers are managing our expectations and telling us their goal, plain and simple. They're not claiming to speak for all Twitter users. No, their goal is to capture a whole bunch of different viewpoints. That clarity perfectly frames their research question.
And this brings us right back to that 4th step of the blueprint, justification. Explaining why you did something is just as important as saying what you did. In this case, they're justifying their sampling method because it was the absolute best way to answer their specific question about finding diverse perspectives. You see, a great methodology also gets into the nitty-gritty of how data was handled. They're explaining their process for protecting the people they studied. They're being totally transparent about the ethics and the management of the data they collected.
And this circles right back to that key principle, reproducibility, just adapted for qualitative work. Obviously, there are no litter bags here, but the authors have laid out their entire process, who they talked to, what they asked, so clearly that another researcher could follow their approach to see if similar ideas pop up.
So we've looked at a quantitative study and a qualitative one. Two very different worlds, right? But as you've probably noticed, they are both built on the exact same foundational principles. Let's just wrap up by summarizing that blueprint.
It really comes down to these three pillars. Number 1, transparency. Be totally honest and clear about every single step you took. Number 2, reproducibility. Give enough details so that somebody else could follow your recipe. And number 3, justification. Explain your choices and prove that your method was the right tool for the job.
So the next time you're reading a study, do me a favor. Don't just skip to the conclusion. Dive into the methodology section first. Start looking for that blueprint. Look for the transparency, the reproducibility, and the justification. Because I guarantee you that's where you're going to find the true foundation of all great research.